Come, sit with me a while, my friend. Just here, at the edge. The stone is warm from the lantern's glow, and there's space enough for two hearts to rest side by side. You've made your way through the hush of night. And now there's nothing more to do. No path to follow, no burden to carry. Only this stillness, and the stars above us. See how they blink, those quiet little flames overhead. Not in any hurry, not even the moon dares rush them. They take their time, moving in soft arcs too slow for counting. I find comfort in that there are things in this world that drift gently without needing to arrive. And below us, clouds endless and pale, folding like wool into the folds of the sky. We are so high above the world now that it's gone quiet beneath us. No birds, no voices, just the breath of the wind and the occasional whisper from the old tower stones. They settle in the night like we do, no longer trying to stand proud, just present. You can lean back if you wish. There's a bit of cloak to share. I've sat here often enough to know where the drafts come through, and tonight they're kind. The breeze carries no chill, just the faintest scent of old stone and iron warmed by the lantern's little fire. It flickers, but it holds steady, like an old friend with nothing left to prove. Funny thing, how quiet can feel like company when it's shared. I come here often, you know. Not to think exactly, not to forget either, just to listen to the stars and feel the edge beneath my boots. It reminds me that I am still here, still breathing, still watching the sky turn. Sometimes when the clouds shift just right, I imagine the whole tower afloat, drifting atop a sea of mist with nothing anchoring it but memory. And perhaps that's what it is now. Not a place made of mortar and stone, but of moments, of silences like this one, of evenings where nothing is spoken, yet everything feels understood. It means a great deal to have you here, dear heart. Not because I need conversation or stories tonight, but because rest shared is softer, because your presence is like another star in this sky, quiet and constant and unafraid of the dark. You don't have to say a word. You've already said enough just by arriving. The sword there beside me. It's only a habit now. I haven't lifted it in some time. I think it likes resting too. There's no weight to battle when the world has gone this still. Only the weight of breath and memory and the way starlight paints your face with silver when you sit close to the fire. You hear that? The gentle clink of metal as I shift. Even that sound feels sleepy tonight, as though the armor itself knows it's time to let the day fall away. So let's stay here, you and I. Let the sky keep turning above us. Let the world below keep dreaming, wrapped in its blanket of clouds. There is no bell to toll, no hour to mark, just this slow moment stretched wide like the heavens. And if you find yourself growing drowsy, that's all right. You're meant to. That's the gift of this place. It draws sleep like the tide draws the shore. There's no need to hold it back. Let it come gently. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath slow. There will be more to share later. Perhaps even a story or two, but not now. Now we rest together, just for a while longer, and let the stars keep watch. Look at that sky, my friend. How near it feels tonight, as if the stars themselves have leaned in close, eager to share the hush with us. Breathe with me for a moment. Slow, easy. Do you feel how the air changes up here? Cool and thin, yes, but clean, sharpened by height and silence. It hums in its own way, not with noise but with presence, like something ancient is listening, just beyond what we can name. We are high above the world now, so high that the hills, the rivers, the winding roads of kingdoms long worn into the earth, none of them reach us here. What lies below is hidden beneath a sea of cloud, endless and softly shifting. They roll like waves, those clouds, silver and blue brushed by moonlight, as if the night were painting in real time. It gives the sense that we've risen above all that troubles and tugs and pulls at the heart. Up here there's only breath and stone, you and I, the old tower, and the sky. This tower, yes, she's crumbling, but she still stands. Her corners softened by wind, her stones smoothed by years of weather and watching. Ivy once climbed her spine like a second skin, but now even that has grown tired and let go. All that remains are roots tucked in deep, and a few moss patches clinging close to the inner edge. It's quiet stone now. Good, honest stone, not seeking purpose, just being what it has become. If you listen, not with your ears, but with a slow part of your heart, you might hear the stillness singing. The tower breathes with it. The stones aren't cold, not tonight. The warmth from the lantern lingers in them, and perhaps a little warmth from us too. That's the kind of heat that stays a while, earned through presence, not flame. And the lantern, it holds its glow like a vow, soft, constant, not blazing like torches meant for watchmen or soldiers. No, this light was made to keep company, not guard against darkness. Its glass hums faintly when the breeze moves. Just now and then, the flame inside flickers with a rhythm that could almost be called thoughtful. It gives shape to the air around us, casting our shadows long and gentle against the tower wall. Look there. See how your shape falls beside mine. Two figures at the edge of the sky. Not alone. Never alone. Above us, the stars are not far. I used to think they were just holes poked in the skycloth by the gods, but as I've grown older, I've come to see them as candles left behind by dreamers, tiny memorials to those who dared hope. They blink slow tonight, not shivering with cold but pulsing, as if each one were breathing in time with the world. Do you feel it? That deep pulse beneath everything? It's in the clouds, in the hush, in the way even the wind has stilled out of respect. It's like the entire world has paused, not held its breath, but let it out at last. And that moon, she's shy tonight. Not full, not new, just enough to see by. Her light doesn't command, it caresses, touches the old stone with fingers made of memory. Her glow falls in silver folds across the broken arch above us, and drips down to the clouds like spilled ink. You might not have noticed, but even your cloak has picked up the moon's sheen. Just there, on the hem, as though starlight borrowed it for a moment before returning it to you. Things like that happen up here. The sky gets close enough to leave small blessings. There are no bells here anymore. No guards, no couriers, no court to speak of. Just the remnants of a time that no longer hurries. The walls remember though. They always do. Not in words but in warmth. The way they hold your back if you lean against them. The way they sigh in soft creaks when the night grows heavy. Old things like these speak in comfort, not command. I sometimes wonder who built this place. Not their name, but their reason. Perhaps they sought the stars as we do now. Perhaps they simply wished for a place to sit and be forgotten for a while, or remembered differently. Not as a role, a title, or a weight, but as a soul. You're safe here, dear friend. The world cannot reach this high tonight. No worry has the wings for it. Even time seems unsure whether to pass or linger. It pools rather than flows, pools in the space between lantern light and shadow, between our quiet breaths, between your stillness and mine. Some nights when the clouds part just enough, you can glimpse the tops of mountains far in the distance, faint silhouettes lit by starlight, like sleeping giants curled beneath the sky. But even they are resting now. You've come to the right place, you know. Not because of what it is, but what it allows. It allows the heart to loosen, the spine to soften, the mind to unfasten its armor, and let silence in. That's the real strength of the high places. Not that they are unreachable, but that they do not reach back. So settle in. Let the shape of the stone cradle you. Let the lantern be your hearth. Let the stars be your lullaby. There's nothing here that asks anything of you. Not even your thoughts. The ficking will pay. Just this one. And when the next comes, let it arrive softly, as the night has. This place doesn't demand stories, nor sleep, nor stillness, but it gives them freely if you let it. You're welcome to all of it. Every shadow, every flicker, every distant shimmer above or rolling veil below. Tonight, the world is held in quiet, and so are you. Let's keep watch together, if only for a while longer. You know, this old armor of mine, it doesn't cling like it used to. Once it held to me like a second skin, tight at the joints, always alert, ready for whatever might come. But now it rests, same as I do, not discarded. No, just softened, familiar, a companion rather than a cage. You might hear it shift when I breathe, just a faint creak, nothing more. The sound of old metal exhaling, and that feels right. I've worn this for so long it feels more like a memory than a burden. But tonight, I don't need it to guard me. I need only this stillness and your company. Thank you for being here, my friend. It's no small thing, sharing quiet with someone. Some can't bear it. They fill the silence with noise or nerves, but not you. No, you settle into it, let it wrap around you like a cloak. That's rare, and it's a comfort. I've spent skimming this tower for many years now. Not every night, no, but often enough that the stones seem to know my step. They don't greet me, not quite, but they remember me. That's enough. There's a kind of kindness in being remembered without question. When I first found this place, I was still very much a knight in the old sense, sharp-edged, watchful, always measuring the weight of things, always expecting something. But up here, there's nothing to guard against. No lines to hold, no banners to defend. The sky doesn't care for titles, and neither do these walls. That was the gift, I think. Realizing I could sit without proving anything, that I didn't have to carry every yesterday like a shield. And so I did. Sit, I mean. The first I sat stiff-backed out of habit, my hands resting on my knees, sword still drawn beside me just in case. But the days passed, the wind softened, the clouds rose higher, and slowly, without noticing, I began to lean back a little more, to loosen the straps, to breathe deeper. And then I started listening, not for danger, not for orders or echoes or approaching hooves, just for the world. For the way the stars shift when you watch them long enough, for the hum of moss growing in the cracks of the stone, for the strange, wordless rhythm of a sky that has nothing to prove. It speaks in long silences, and that is a language I've come to love. There's a certain kind of tiredness that feels earned, not the weariness that follows battle or long rides, but the kind that comes from understanding something at last, from no longer needing to strive so hard against the weight of your own name. That's the kind of tired I carry now, and it's a good tired truly, like the end of a long song where the last note lingers even after it's gone. I don't speak of this often. There aren't many who would understand, but you do, don't you? You've walked long roads too, maybe not with armor, maybe not with sword, but your shoulders have known weight, and your heart has carried more than it lets on. That's why it feels right, sharing this space with you, not as a knight and a guest, just as two souls who know what it is to pause, to rest with purpose. It's strange how rest can feel like a kind of trust. When I was younger, I thought trust was built in battle, in side-by-side swordplay, or shared strategy, or watching each other's backs. And perhaps it is, in part, but this quiet trust, it's something different. It's not about proving loyalty. It's about allowing yourself to be soft in someone's presence. You've let me be soft tonight, and I thank you for that. The weight of the world grows quieter up here. I feel it slide off me bit by bit, like a cloak shrugged loose at last. It doesn't vanish, not entirely, but it thins, becomes lighter in the air. And I think it's because this place doesn't ask anything of me. No memory of victories or regrets, just stone and sky and silence. And you sitting beside me. Not for answers, not for stories, not even for wisdom, just to share breath. That's more than enough. I sometimes wonder what I look like, here, to a bird flying overhead, or perhaps a star peeking down, a bent figure in dim silver, cloak tucked around his knees, sword untouched, a shape at rest, still, unmoving, but full of life nonetheless. Do I look lonely? Enough not. I assure you, there's a difference between solitude and loneliness. I used to confuse them, thought I needed to fill every space with sound or company to keep loneliness at bay. But solitude is a friend now. It lets me hear myself more clearly, lets me hear the sky, and tonight it lets me hear you. Even without words, you speak loudly, you know. There's kindness in your stillness, a strength too, the kind that doesn't need to be paraded or praised. I see that, and I'm grateful for it. Sometimes I close my eyes here and just breathe, not to meditate, not to forget, just to remember differently, to remember how it feels to simply be, to exist without being defined by deeds. You should try it too, if you haven't a state already. Not just breathing, though that's a good start, but letting go of the shape others have asked you to take. Up here, you're not what the world says you are. Not a title, not a role, just you. And that is a fine thing to be. I won't speak much longer. Not yet, at least. There will be time later for stories and gentle wanderings of the mind. But for now, I just wanted you to know who I am in this moment. Not as a knight, not as a symbol, but as a man with creaking knees, a quiet heart, and a deep love for the sound of nothing. And for you, my dear friend, sitting beside me beneath the stars, sharing the gift of being. Stay a while longer. No rush, no end to this. Just the breath between thoughts, and the hush that holds us both. It's but a quiet thing, really. Why I come here. Not for glory, not for watch, not even for solitude, though that's part of it. No, this tower, this little circle of stone brushed by starlight, means something gentler than all of that. It marks not the edge of land or rule, but the edge of how I once measured time. You see, long ago, when banners still hung from this height, and riders passed below like ants along a thread, this tower meant duty. It stood at the farthest reach of a kingdom I once served, a place where one realm ended, and the great unknown began. Maps grew vague just beyond these cliffs, and scouts whispered of unwalked forests and ancient rivers where no coin held sway. It was my task for a time to sit watch here, to light a signal fire should any unknown flag approach from beyond the clouded south. But none ever came, not once. And so the tower became something else for me, quietly, slowly, like frost turning to dew under morning light. It was no longer a boundary of land, but a beginning of breath. It's strange how places change their meaning without asking, how a stone wall can shift from shield to sanctuary without ever moving an inch. I began coming here even after the post was reassigned, no longer ordered to, no longer expected, just drawn, not for defense, for reflection, for the still rhythm of watching stars instead of scouts, for the comfort of sitting where silence had already learned my name. And then, one night, I brought someone with me. Not many know that. Fewer still would understand. They weren't a soldier, not a courtly figure, either. Just someone who carried too much in their chest and didn't know where to set it down. You'd have liked them, I think. They had a way of listening that made the world feel safe again, not by fixing anything, just by being present. The Farbet night clearly. The clouds were thick, swirling just beneath the ledge like a sea lost in thought. The stars were only faint outlines then, and the lantern sputtered with a mind of its own. But we sat right here, exactly where you and I are now, and let the hush settle over us like a warm blanket. They didn't speak much. Nor did I. But at one point, they turned to me and asked, "When do you know you stir, allowed to stop measuring time by what must be done?" I didn't have an answer then. I do now. It's here. It's in places like this, where nothing is asked of you, where hours aren't counted in tasks, but in heartbeats and the softness of your breath against the cool night air. Here, time slips its chains and becomes something truer, something not bound by bells or the sun's arc, but by stillness. That night, we lit a candle instead of the tower fire, just one. Small, it danced in the wind and cast barely a flicker beyond our knees, but it was enough to see each other's faces in half-light, enough to share warmth, enough to mean something. And ever since, I've done the same. Whenever I return here, I bring a light not out of habit, but in honor, a little flame, not meant to warn or signal, but to remember, to remind me that once I was granted a moment of peace beside someone who saw me not as a knight, but simply as a soul. Tonight, you share that flame with me. I hope you don't mind. I know the light is modest. It won't banish the dark or chase away dreams, but it will hold the space gently. That's all I ask of it. That's all I ask of this night. You may wonder why I tell you all this. It's not to burden you with memory. It's to offer you a shape for your own quiet. If you ever find a place where time loosens its grip, where you can just sit and be, then you'll know what I mean. You'll know why this tower matters, why it became more than a post, why it became mine. Not in ownership, in reverence. That's the word I've come to treasure most. Reverence. It's not worship, not grandeur, just deep noticing, respect for the slow things, for moss creeping along the seams of the stone, for the way your breathing changes when you know you're safe, for the hush between thoughts, for the glow that lives not in firelight but in the closeness between two people who need not speak to understand each other. I've come to mark time by these visits. Not by season, not by calendar, but by presence. Every time I return, I feel the years differently. Not as weight, but as roots, as rings within me. Quiet and true. There's no monument here. No names carved in walls, but there's meaning. And tonight, with you here beside me, that meaning deepens. You see, my friend, I think what we do in stillness echoes just as deeply as what we do in action. The world often forgets that. It rushes, it roars, it demands. But here, in the hush above the clouds, I remember that presence is its own kind of doing, and memory is not made by noise, but by the spaces between. So tonight let's mark this hour, not with speech or motion, but with being. Let the tower hold us. Let the candle burn its quiet shape. Let the stars do what stars do, and let our silence be a soft kind of vow. The vow to be exactly here, exactly now. No past to carry, no future to chase, just the rhythm of shared breath. And the way time hums when it sits finally free. You see that star just there, low on the horizon to the left of the old broken spire. It wasn't always there, or rather, it was, of course, but not in that place. Years ago, it sat higher, perched, just above the tower arch, like a silent guardian. I remember because I used to line it up with the edge of that crumbled stone and use it to mark time, a small ritual. Nothing grand, just me, sitting here as the night passed, watching that little light wander ever so slightly with the seasons. Funny, isn't it? How something so distant can feel so familiar. How a star which will never know your name can still feel like it's keeping you company. I've spent so many nights up here doing just that, watching the stars drift. Not fast, not even enough to notice from moment to moment. But if you return often enough, as I have, you begin to see the changes, the slow procession, like breath, like thought, like the quiet evolution of the heart when you let it rest. Some stars fade, and new ones arrive, and the clouds, they're never the same shape twice. They move like memories, those clouds, gentle and strange, sometimes soft as wool, sometimes thin and blue like worn silk. They roll across the world below us, like thoughts in a dreaming mind, never still, always shifting. I've tried to name the shapes, some nights, a ship, a stag, a woman's braid, but names never hold for long. Better to just watch. Let them be what they are. And as the clouds pass, I often think of the dreams I've let go into that wind. Not wishes, exactly, not hopes tied to outcomes, just pieces of myself, given to the sky with no need for return. You see, I've found that when you're quiet long enough, when you sit still and the world stops mistaking you for a thing that must be busy, you begin to feel dreams soften, not fade, just loosen, like old knots finally allowed to unlace. I've whispered things into the wind here, small truths, names I still carry, questions without answers, and each time I do, I imagine the wind catching them, not to keep, but to carry. Maybe it sets them down in some distant valley. Maybe a child picks up a dream of mine, not knowing it belonged to a night. Maybe it returns to me one day, wrapped in new meaning. It's a quiet magic, that kind of release, one that doesn't need an audience. Just a place like this, just a moment like now. You know, you're not the first soul to share this tower with me. You're the only one tonight, of course, and the one I'm glad to sit beside now. But over the years others have found their way here, some by accident, some with purpose. Each of them left something behind, even if they didn't mean to. There was a boy once, couldn't have been more than 12, found his way here on a dare from the village, they said, but I think it was more than that. He arrived shy, eyes wide, sat beside me without a word, for nearly an hour. Then he asked if I believed the stars could listen. I said yes, I did. He nodded, took a folded piece of paper from his coat, and tucked it under a loose stone in the wall. I never asked what it said, never looked, but I've never moved it either. Still there, I believe. Paper doesn't last long in the weather, but the act of hiding it, that stayed. I think of him sometimes. I wonder who he became. A sailor, perhaps. A teacher, or maybe someone who tells his children about a silent night, who sat high above the clouds and didn't ask questions. There was a woman once, older than me, I think, carried a small bundle of herbs and a silver ring cell. She lit a candle at dusk, set it just there beside the northern arch, and sang something I didn't know. Not loud, not for me. I didn't speak until she was done. She smiled and said she'd come to remember someone. I never asked who. She didn't stay long, but when she left she kissed the stone before walking away, the way one might kiss a beloved's hand or the top of a sleeping child's head. That kiss stayed longer than she did. I felt it in the stone. Days afterward, a warmth that didn't belong to sunlight. And there was one too who never said a thing. Not a word, just sat beside me, eyes closed, breathing in time with the wind. I thought they were asleep, but then they opened their eyes and simply nodded, as if we'd spoken all we needed without a single syllable. They left before dawn and I never saw them again. But I remember the weight of that silence, the shared understanding. Not everything needs to be said to be heard. All of them drift through my mind now and then, like the clouds, soft, untethered. I wonder who they are now, what they remember of this place, if anything. Perhaps I've become nothing more than a soft corner in their memory, a peaceful moment they don't quite recall, but feel in the bones when the wind turns cool. That would be enough. There's something beautiful in being a resting place in someone else's story, even briefly, even without being named. I suppose that's what I hope to be for you too. A quiet anchor, a safe breath, a presence, not pressing but present. You see, discovery isn't always about finding new lands or unearthing lost treasures. Sometimes it's just about noticing how your shoulders drop when you're safe, noticing how the air changes when the night deepens, noticing how your own thoughts grow gentler when given room to unfurl. And when I sit here long enough, when I let the quiet settle fully into my chest, I begin to notice myself again, not as the world sees me, but as I am when no one's watching. I hope you're feeling that too. That just gentleness, that space. You don't have to do anything to earn it. You're already in it, just by being here, just by breathing with me, just by letting the stars pass as they do. I've learned that there is no need to chase meaning in places like this. Meaning settles in naturally, like dew, quiet, soft, undemanding. It gathers in the corners of memory, in the curve of a whisper, in the way we remember people not for what they said, but how they made us feel safe, held, seen. And tonight, this place, this crumbling tower above the clouds, wrapped in wind and starlight, becomes part of you too. Not as a chapter, not as a turning point, just as a quiet page, a soft pause. And should you ever forget the path that led you here, don't worry. The stars will remember. The clouds will carry it. And I still be here, watching them move, and wondering gently, do you see become? There's something I've come to understand, something that took many winters and many more silences to truly hear. Solitude isn't the absence of company. It's a companion of its own. It walks beside you differently than people do. It doesn't speak aloud. It doesn't touch your shoulder. It doesn't ask questions or make plans. But if you let it stay, if you stop trying to fill it or fight it, it begins to teach, not through words, but through noticing, through presence, through the space it leaves for things you'd never have heard otherwise. I didn't just always know how to sit with it. In younger years, I mistook solitude for punishment. The empty halls after a campaign, the watchtower long after the torches went out, the echo of my own footsteps when everyone else had moved on. It felt like something was missing. But in time, it softened. I softened. You learn in solitude how to listen not just outwardly, but inwardly, to the small voices inside yourself that were always there, just too quiet to be heard over the clamor. The voice of your own breath, the voice of memory, stripped of pride, the voice that simply says, I am here, I am enough, I am still. Solitude doesn't demand anything of you. It doesn't seek to define. It simply offers room, and in that room, something sacred begins to grow, something slower than certainty and deeper than understanding. I call it peace. Not the peace of treaties or kingdoms well managed, but the kind that settles into your bones when the day is done, when nothing is left undone, and you realize you've made your way back to yourself. That's what this tower gave me, and what the stillness up here continues to offer. Not escape, not forgetfulness, but reflection. A kind mirror, one that doesn't distort, nor flatter, just reflects gently what is. I think growing older is much like climbing this tower, a quiet ascent, one that doesn't shout for attention, but marks itself with breath and ache and soft clarity. And with age, you find yourself unlearning the hurry, the push, the need to prove or outpace. You start to honor the moments that ask for nothing, only your presence, the soft light of a lantern, the shared quiet between friends, the stillness between heartbeats. That sips the courage no one speaks of in stories. Not the kind that charges into storms or faces roaring beasts, but the courage to stay still, to remain when it would be easier to flee from memory or grief or doubt, to forgive yourself, not for one grand mistake, but for all the small things you didn't know to do better once. That's the sort of bravery that comes only in the hush, in the long breath, in the letting go. Forgiveness, too, that sips a slow teacher. For a long time, I thought forgiveness was something you gave others, a gift, a grace, but the truer work I've found is learning to offer it inwardly, to meet yourself with gentleness, to speak to the years behind you not as regrets but as teachers who did their best with what little they knew. Somewhere along the way, I stopped asking who I might have been, and began honoring who I've become. It's quieter, this kind of living, but it's deeper. like moving from the surface of a lake to the still waters beneath, where the light is dim but full of truth. And you make this easier. You sitting here, not asking for more than I can give, not pulling me out of thought, nor pushing me towards speech, just being here in your way, present, kind, open. It makes all the difference. This place isn't only memory now because you're in it, not just a shadow of what was, but a living thing. The lantern burns brighter with your nearness. The air feels warmer. Even the stone beneath us seems to welcome you, folding around your shape as it once did mine. And that warmth, that shared presence, it shifts something in me. There are few I've spoken with like this, not because I am secretive or closed, but because few pause long enough to listen without hurry. You have. You do. And so I find myself unfolding not like a tale, but like a hand slowly unclenched. Thank you, not for answers, not for stories, just for your nearness, for your trust, for making this tower tonight not merely a resting place, but a quiet celebration. You know, there's a sweetness in not being needed for anything, not being looked to for wisdom or guidance or defense. Just being allowed to be boldly, softly. That's what you've offered me. That's what this silence between us contains. And perhaps that sips what peace truly is. Not perfection, not the absence of weight, just the knowing that even in stillness, we are enough. Even now, I feel the world slowing its breath around us. The clouds drift a little lower. The stars blink a little slower. The sky itself seems to lean in. It's as if everything around us is reflecting back the quiet we carry between us. Let it hold you, my friend. Let it settle in the corners of your being. Let it soften whatever has been hard. You've done enough. You are enough. There is no rush now. No role to step into, no shape to assume. Only this moment, only this sky, only this flame, and the simple truth of two souls who found a shared stillness above the clouds. Let it be enough. And when the wind shifts again, when morning calls in its silver voice, may you carry this peace with you, not as a memory, but as something that lives in your breath, in your rest, in your being. For what we discover in the hush stays with us. Quiet things have a way of lasting longer. The night has grown full, hasn't it? It's the kind of fullness you don't hear arriving. Not like a bell tolling or a door swinging open. It just gathers slowly, steadily, until the world feels wrapped in velvet, deep, still, whole. The stars are blinking slower now, or maybe it's just that our eyes have adjusted to their rhythm. I've found over time that the sky always meets you at your own pace. When you rush, it feels far away, but when you grow quiet, it draws close, like a companion who needs no words, only presence. You've been that for me tonight, and I don't stay that lightly. It's not easy, what you've done, being still, letting the world settle without trying to shape it, letting yourself settle too, without explanation or apology. That's its own kind of strength, one the world rarely celebrates, but one I honor deeply. Just look how the lantern glows now, not with the eager flicker it had earlier, but with something gentler. A low breath, a whisper of light. It's dimmed, yes, but not weakened. It's simply tired in the way that all true things are, after they've given what they were meant to give. My limbs feel the same. I've stretched them out now, let them rest fully against the stone. My cloak cushions most of the hard edges, and the warmth you've shared beside me fills the rest. There's something about letting your body unfurl that tells the heart it can let go too. You've likely felt it, haven't you? That slow ease, when the bones say, yes, this is enough, and the breath answers, yes, I am safe. Even my armor has gone quiet. No clink, no shift, just the weight of it resting, the way a long-held thought finally finds a place to land. And my sword, well, you see it, untouched. I haven't so much as glanced at it tonight. It lies beside me as it always does, but there's no tension between us, no readiness, just coexistence. It knows it is not needed here. What a gift that is, to need nothing defended, to sit in a place where you can simply be. That sips what this tower offers at this hour. The clouds below have quieted too. They've lost their shimmer now and taken on a kind of still gray hush, like the surface of a deep lake you can't quite see, but you know is there, vast, unwavering, waiting for the first light of dawn to stir it again. They sigh, those clouds. I hear it in the way the air brushes past the edges of the stone, soft, steady, almost like breathing. It reminds me that everything here is alive in its own way. Even silence lives. It breathes. It remembers. It listens. And tonight it has held our company like a cherished story. One told not in plot, but in pulse. I can feel sleep beginning to reach for me. Not all at once, just a hand gently laid upon the edge of my awareness, a soft turning inward. My voice feels it too. See how it drifts now, not in tone but in depth, a little closer to silence with each word. And still, I want to speak this. Thank you. Not for conversation, not for questions, not for cheering or agreeing or entertaining. No, thank you for simply sharing the sky, for choosing to be here. Not as an audience, not as a guest, but as something far rarer, a true presence. That's what makes this tower different tonight. Not the stars, not the wind, not even the quiet. You make this stone warmer. You make the hush kinder. You make this moment more than memory. I don't know where you'll go after this, or where I'll be, truthfully. The world turns as it must, but I hope wherever you find yourself next, this peace follows you. Not like a shadow, not like a chain, but like a memory stitched into your bones. A softness you can return to, a breath you can keep. Because rest isn't only found in places, it lives in moments, in the way we are seen, in the way we are safe. Tonight you let yourself be both. And that, my dear friend, is more than I could ask. So let's not fill these last minutes with more words than they need. Let the stars finish their sentence. Let the lantern speak its slow golden language. Let the clouds cradle our silence. And let the night hold us gently until even this goodbye becomes part of the hush. You are welcome here, always, in stillness, in breath, in all the quiet ways we remember what it means to simply be. Sleep well, if it finds you soon, and if not, sit a little longer. The peace doesn't mind waiting. Rest now, sky-bound friend. There's nothing left to reach for tonight. Nothing you must carry, nothing you must answer. Here, high above the world, we are far from all that hurries. The clouds below have quieted. The stars above have slowed their blink, as if they too are growing sleepy. Even the fire, the little lantern that's burned beside us all night, gives its final flickers not in protest, but in peace. A farewell glow, a thank you. Let the stars cradle your dreams. Let them drift through you like wind through the rafters of an old chapel, soft, sacred, full of echoes. You needn't shape them. Let them come as they will, like snow falling on an open hand. They're meant to be held only briefly, and then released into warmth. The lantern will keep watch. It always does. Not out of duty, not out of fear, just care. A small flame that knows how to stay. Like me in a way, like you now. We sit here together not because we must, but because there is nowhere else we're asked to be. And in that, there is peace. There is peace in the way the clouds sigh as they pass beneath us, in the hush of old stones that remember but do not speak, in the gentle stillness of a night that offers nothing more than itself, and finds that to be enough. There is peace in your breath. I can hear it, steady, softer now. You've settled into it well, into the rhythm of this place, into the truth that you are welcome here without explanation. And that peace, it sips yours, not because I've given it, but because you've allowed yourself to receive it. That sips no small thing. In a world that pulls and presses, that names and needs, it takes courage to simply rest, to set it all down, the stories, the shoulds, the noise, and lie back in the company of stars. You may done that tonight, and I am grateful, grateful not for talk, nor tale, nor deed, just for you, for the way you showed up in stillness, for the way you shared this quiet. The world will go on turning while you sleep. It always does. But tonight, it does so with one less burden on your shoulders. So let yourself drift. Gently as a lantern gliding down a dark river. There's no destination now, only the slow surrender to rest. I'll be here a while longer, just watching the fire settle, watching the sky hold steady, listening to the hush between breaths. And when your dreams come, I hope they are soft. I hope they are kind. I hope they sound like the sky and feel like the warmth of stone that remembers the shape of your resting back. So, sleep, my dear one. Sleep easy. Sleep fully. Sleep knowing you are safe and seen and deeply, quietly held by the night. And if you wake before me, don't rush to speak. Just sit a while longer in the hush we made together. Let it linger. Let it last. And let the peace we found here follow you gently wherever you go. Good night, skybound friend. Good night.